Well, we are here in studio with a very special guest who has made a trip to Kansas City and is joining us in the KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM studios. He is Dr. Ben Carson, the 17th Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, former presidential candidate as well. And he's got a few great things planned today at the Amelia Earhart Hangar Museum in Atchison. He is also stopping by Benedictine. So a lot to talk about with Dr. Carson joining us in studio on KCMO. Good morning, Doctor. Thanks for the visit to Kansas City.
Good morning. I'm absolutely delighted to be here.
Well, take me through your immediate reaction to the big news of the morning, and that is, of course, a potential end to this 40-day government shutdown.
Well, I was excited to hear that, mainly because it's such an unnecessary thing, and there's so many people who are suffering the consequences. And I'm hoping that maybe this will stimulate them to change the law so that we don't have this situation again, because as we're becoming more and more polarized, the possibilities of it occurring and even being more severe are significant. And we just don't need this. We somehow we've gotten to the point where our politicians hate each other. And it used to be that the Democrats and the Republicans would argue about stuff, but then they go out to dinner. You know, it was okay because they both wanted the same thing. Now we have a situation in which the radical left wing is controlling a major political party, and they don't want the same things, which makes it very difficult. So we got a chore on our hands, because what we have to recognize as a nation and as citizens of a nation is that we're being manipulated. Mm-hmm. We're being manipulated to make us think that we're each other's enemies. In the meantime, China's sitting there just, we don't have to do anything. They're going to destroy themselves.
Licking their chops, right?
Exactly.
So what law would you like to see them change on this front to avoid this happening again?
Well, I would like them to only be able to apply the nuclear option in segmented, defined areas, and not sort of across the board. And I think that would really help to prevent a lot of this stuff going on. Everything that they do now, they have to say, well, this may be the right thing to do, but if we do this, then the other side might be able to, that's not the way it was supposed to be. That was not the way our government was designed.
When you look at the central debate right now, which is, of course, Obamacare subsidies and healthcare in particular, an area of expertise, Dr. Ben Carson joining us in studio. I mean, I know that you ran for president talking about these issues, but we're still sitting here 15 years later with the same problems. If you had your magic wand, how would you fix it?
Well, I described when I was running for president how to do it. And I see that President Trump is starting to mention it now, too. Health savings accounts.
Yeah.
When a person is born, they get a health savings account, an electronic medical record, which only they have access to, and they have it on a chip on a card. They can let various medical people see it if they desire to do so. Mm-hmm. But there'd be a certain amount of money in your health savings account. If you're working, your employer could contribute to it. And people who are indigent, a lot of the people who are on the street, whatever, everybody has a health savings account. Money is put into it every year.
By who?
By their employer. If they're not employed, government. And the reason I say that is because the government's putting that money in anyway. Mm-hmm. So, but they would have control of it, like you do with a regular health savings account. And if that's the case, guess what? You're going to be very interested in the cost of everything. Mm-hmm. And the providers are going to know that you're interested in the cost, and they're not going to order 5 CAT scans when you only need 1, because that's eating into your health savings account. And you're not going to let them do it either.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of money right there. And then if you have a procedure and your health savings account is maybe $500 short, mm-hmm. you make it possible for members of your family to contribute some of theirs to your health savings account. and a certain amount each year, anybody can contribute to anybody's health savings account they want. So if you have somebody in a church family, for instance, who's going to need a kidney transplant, their health savings account probably wouldn't cover that. But if everybody contributes a little bit from their health savings account to that one, boom, you got it covered. Those kinds of, and when a person dies, their health savings account can be transferred to a member of their family. So that what happens now, people spend a lot of money in the last 6 months. That money doesn't need to be spent. But they're saying, I've got all this money and I don't want it to go to waste. So, let's have this treatment, let's have that, and that's just not the way to do it. Bring some personal responsibility into it. The way the system works now, it's sort of like if you go to a hotel and you put your credit card down and they say, oh, you don't need to do that. All your expenses are being taken care of. Oh, well, give me the room service menu.
Yeah, sounds great, right? That's fantastic.
Whereas if you're responsible, you're saying, is there a McDonald's nearby?
Yeah.
Of course, that's going to be pretty expensive, too.
Well, now that they're up to like $13 for a quarter pounder and fries and a drink, you're right. But, that certainly seems like a way to try to fix the system. The question is, to your original point, is there an appetite in Congress for any kind of bipartisan admission, especially on the Democratic side, that Obamacare has not worked out the way that they promised it would? And that seems to be the first hurdle here.
Well, it worked out exactly the way I predicted when I was running for president. And, basically, it's leading us towards socialized medicine. And it was Vladimir Lenin who said, getting health care through the government is the linchpin to imposing socialism throughout the whole society. That's why they're so anxious to do it. But it's a non-starter. It doesn't work. It never has worked. It's way too expensive. And we have better things. We just need to be looking for a better way to do it.
That's great. Dr. Ben Carson here in studio. He's got a trip here in Kansas City this morning. He is stopping by the Amelia Earhart Hangar Museum. Also, he's got a trip to Benedictine as well coming up today. So take me through what's going on at the Amelia Earhart Hangar Museum. This is part of an organization that you started called Little Patriots. Now, as someone with a 6'4" and 1-year-old, I consider them Little Patriots. So for people that aren't aware, what is the organization and what do you have going on today on this front?
Well, Amelia Earhart was a very inspirational figure. And as part of our American Cornerstone program, we have the Little Patriots program, which focuses on the children. And the reason that we focus on the children is because we recognize that those who want to fundamentally change our nation have targeted our young people. If you look at the congressional record from January the 10th, 1963, the 45 goals of communism in America were read into the record. One of them was to gain control of the educational system and the teacher unions so you could indoctrinate the kids starting at an early age.
Wow.
We're seeing the results of that on a lot of the college campuses now, that indoctrination. So, and Lenin also said, give me your children to teach for 4 years, and the seed that I sow will never be uprooted. So this is our attempt to counter that and to sow the right seeds of who we are and what our values are. And even the Bible says in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he'll not depart from it. So we have to be in there with these lessons, and Amelia Earhart is one of the lessons about determination and courage. And we talk about all the different aspects of our history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the fact of the matter is there's a heck of a lot more good than there is bad and ugly. And we're making sure that people know what that is. Because if they know their history, they're much less easy to manipulate. Marxism thrives on ignorance. And you can even see it in our broadcast system in this country. You look at certain channels, they don't talk about stuff that they don't want people to know in order to have the complete picture. And I remember I was coming back from the airport in Florida, and I was talking to the driver, and obviously he was a left-winger, but he didn't even know about the Hunter Biden computer. He said, what are you talking about? What? He didn't
That's
know about
amazing. Well, I mean, it goes to show you now, you can literally build yourself a bubble where you only get the news that you like and you want. And there was always an element to that, but it is easier than ever with the algorithms now on social media to just literally build a news cycle that only fits what you want to be true and what you want to know.
Exactly true. And with Marxism, they count on people being ignorant because only people who are not well informed would even begin to believe the stuff that they're talking about. And, case in point, I was giving a talk less than 10 days ago, and I described the situation. I said, I want you to tell me who I'm talking about. And I said, he was born into an affluent family. He became politically well-known in his 30s. He has lots of tempting promises. And I said, who am I talking about? And every time I said, Mom Donnie. I said, no, that would be Fidel Castro.
There you go. I like that. Dr. Ben Carson here in studio. He's got a couple of great events happening around town today in the region. We're going to take a quick break with him, come back and wrap up the conversation next on 95.7 FM KCMO. Well, Dr. Ben Carson is here. He finds himself on the Kansas side of the state line for a couple of great events coming up today at the Amelia Earhart Hangar Museum, and then he's at Benedictine as well for an event later today. So this is part of his Little Patriots Educational Program, and you can find all the information at AmericanCornerstone.org. So, Dr. Carson, I got to imagine that these programs are trying to, I know you said they're having some success making their way into the public school systems in places like Alaska and Texas. They're also used extensively by private schools and also homeschooling groups as well. So where do you want to see this Little Patriots program go from here for K through 5?
Well, I'd like to see it in all of our school systems, both public and private, because it's critical that you know your history. And that you know the values and principles that establish your country. You have to recognize we, as a country, went from a bunch of ragtag militiamen to the pinnacle of the world in record time. That was not a coincidence. That was because of our values, our faith, liberty, community, and life. And we just want to make sure that everybody knows that so that they're not so easily swayed when people say, America is a horrible place. They had slavery. They're not fair to everybody. And what we show people is, yes, we did have slavery. But then again, so did every other place, every other society, going back as far in history as you can go. So slavery didn't make us unique. What made us unique was that we had so many people who were opposed to it that we fought a bloody civil war to stop it.
So when you look at right now the current American landscape, politically speaking, what gives you the most optimism as we sit here today in 2025?
I think the young people in colleges, we've been going and seeing such enthusiasm. It used to be when you would go to a college, only a few dozen students would show up, and they're kind of looking over their shoulder.
Looking over their shoulder.
And now I think they're starting to realize that this is their country. And they have a responsibility to preserve the freedoms that we have. Ronald Reagan said it best. He says, if you don't pay attention to it, in one generation, you can lose all of that freedom. And we've seen the results of some people being in power in different places in this country and how they treat people. That's not the way America is supposed to be. And I'm very optimistic when I see what's happened, particularly since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The number of colleges and high schools that have wanted to bring the program, it's just fantastic, multiplied exponentially. And I think the young people have seen where life was going, and they didn't like what they saw. And they said there must be a different way. And I think a revolution is going on, a real revival in our country, and I'm very optimistic.
Well, you look back, as you noted, going back 60-plus years at this point to when they wanted to get into the schools. They wanted to indoctrinate, especially at the college level. And it seemed like for too long the Republican Party said, we'll worry about them when they're 40. We'll get them when they're 40.
Right.
Well, Charlie Kirk and groups like ones you're involved with have said, no, we've got to get them where they're at. We've got to get them while they're young. We've got to change the course of American history.
Exactly.
And it seems like you've been a part of this movement, and you saw it coming for a while. Was there a moment when this all clicked for you that we've got to get back to the kids and the young people in particular?
I don't know if there was a specific moment. I've seen it coming on when we've kind of lost sight of common sense. And all of a sudden, yeah, it's okay for men to play women's sports. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's okay for men to be in women's bathrooms and competing against them. And you're not really a girl. You're not really a boy. Just what they told you were, but that's not really. I mean, come on, just crazy stuff. And I began to realize that at first it seemed like a joke, but it started to become much more mainstream. And, what we have to do as a society is be able to stand up for what we really believe in. Don't just sort of let things go. Mm-hmm. And we should love everybody as the Bible tells us to, but it doesn't tell us that we have to conform ourselves to craziness. What we have to do is learn to be accepting of people, be tolerant of people, particularly people who don't conform to the mainstream or what is, common decency. But that doesn't mean that we have to become like them.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Ben Carson's here. We got a couple more minutes before he's got to hit the road right on KCMO Talk Radio. What is something, when you look back on your political career, that is there a story that you haven't shared that stands out above the rest, or something that you think back to as a defining moment from when you got into all this craziness, from a private life as a doctor to suddenly a national figure running for president?
Yeah, well, the big thing was the 2013 presidential prayer breakfast. I was asked to speak at that, which I thought was really strange, because I had spoken at the 1997 presidential prayer breakfast, and I didn't know anybody ever did it twice. But it turned out that there was one person who did it twice, and that was Billy Graham. So I said, I'll do it. And after that, everybody was saying, you got to run for president. And I said, these people are crazy. I said, if I just ignore them, it'll go away. But it never went away. People had placards every place I went, run, Ben, run. And I had over 500,000 petitions in my office. And I finally just said, Lord, if you really want me to do this, you got to give me what a person who runs for president has, which is a Rolodex with all the important names, an organization, and a lot of money. Next thing I knew, I had all those things. And, as I traveled around the country, what really impressed me was seeing that from the smallest hamlets to the biggest cities, most people had common sense. But what they didn't have was courage.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to work on, because you can't be the land of the free if you're not the home of the brave.
Last thing, President Trump, having worked for him as the HUD secretary and knowing him like you do, what's the most misunderstood part of the President of the United States?
Well, he's an extremely nice person when he's not being attacked.
Which is rare, unfortunately.
But I've seen him with just very ordinary people, with workers, and when there are no cameras around. And he's just the nicest person. He wants to know, what are you doing? And how's things going? And once I was walking around with them on Mar-a-Lago, and we come across a group of men who were working on restoring a floor. And there were about 15 of them. And he sat there and talked with them, and they had a wonderful time. Pulled out a big wad of $50 bills and handed one to each and said, go buy your wife something nice.
That's great. Well, Dr. Carson, we are glad you are here. We're glad that you're highlighting the Little Patriots program in Kansas. We'll work on, my promise to you, we'll work on getting that involved in the Kansas and Missouri public schools. And
Wonderful.
If we need your extra push, we'll let you know.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Carson, thanks for the visit to KCMO Talk Radio. He is here for obviously a couple of great events today at the Amelia Earhart Hangar Museum, and then he will also be at Benedictine College coming up later this afternoon.